great Vaishnava saints and sages. Well, we're hearing through Sukadeva Goswami that he's telling us what some demons have advised Kamsa. And so we continue to hear the words of Kamsa's advisors. So before we start, let us invoke this Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
The knob on the left side, turn it over. Number 4, turn it all the way counterclockwise. It's already there. No. Yeah? Okay. That's all I know.
Good. Yeah, we have some technical issues here in the Bhakti Center, but I think we're resolving them.
Yeah. Still there. Okay.
So I'll chant the verse. Sahi sarva sura dhakshya kyasurad guha saya tanmula devata sarva sara sheshvara satchaku chatur mukha ayam vaitad vadho payo yadrishinam vihim sanam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Vishnu, the super soul within the core of everyone's heart, is the ultimate enemy of the asuras, and therefore known as Asuradvit. He is the leader of all the demigods, because all the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, exist under his protection. The great saintly persons, sages, and Vaishnavas also depend on him. To persecute the Vaishnavas, therefore, is the only way to kill Vishnu. So here's the plot. The plot hatched up by Kamsa's advisors. They're going to kill Vishnu by persecuting the Vaishnavas.
There are 21 people in line. If you leave them 15 minutes at the end, they will say something.
Sure.
If not, they reduce to wallpaper. They can't participate.
Okay.
That's
Sure.
just what we've been trying to do.
Okay.
Okay.
They're receiving some guidance here in the temple. I'm telling people what's happening. I've been advised that I have to include you. So, which we like to do. So, all good. Purport. The demigods and Vaishnavas especially are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, because they are always obedient to his orders. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Paragam Sada Pasyanti Surayaha. The demoniac followers of Kamsa thought that if the Vaishnavas, saintly persons and sages were persecuted, the original body of Vishnu would naturally be destroyed. Thus, they decided to suppress Vaishnavism. The Asuras perpetually struggle to persecute the Vaishnavas because they do not want Vaishnavism to spread. Vaishnavas preach only devotional service, not encouraging karmis, gyanis, and yogis, because if one must liberate oneself from material conditioned life, one must ultimately become a Vaishnava. Our Krishna consciousness movement is directed with this understanding, and therefore the Asuras always want to suppress it. So before I speak, let me just invoke the blessings of our spiritual masters. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Let me also offer my humble obeisances to all of you, to the Vaishnavas present here. Manchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So the demons, they have hatched this very cunning plot to destroy Vishnu by suppressing Vaishnavas. And there's they're mistaken here. So some of the things these demons have been saying are true based on Shastra, but this one is wrong. They have referred to Vishnu as Asura Dvit, the enemy of the Asuras. The whole premise of this verse that we're reading today is that Vishnu doesn't like demons. He only likes devotees, that he is partial. And therefore, by killing devotees or suppressing devotees, that they will basically, there'll be an embargo. Vishnu won't be getting his offerings and he'll starve and he'll die. But yeah, they're wrong. They're mistaken. This is a misunderstanding on the part of the demons. Yes, Krishna loves brahmanas. Yes, he loves cows. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanna Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. We glorify Krishna that way. But they are wrong in thinking that Krishna hates demons. Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita, Suhrida Sarva Bhutanam. I am the friend of all living beings. He says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. I am the Prabhu of everyone. I'm the master of everyone. He says, Aham Bija Pradapita. I am the father of everyone, of all living beings. Doesn't say Aham, I'm the father just of Vaishnavas or of devotees or people who like me. I'm the father of everyone. And good parents, they don't just love some of their kids and hate others of their kids. And neither does Krishna, the supreme parent. Rather, he tells us, elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. I'm equal to all. So he appears partial because the devotees approach him with love and he reciprocates. Yeyatamam prapadyante tamstateva bhajamyaham. As people approach me, Krishna says, I reciprocate accordingly. And so this partiality is only apparent. Krishna is open, his heart, his love is there for everyone. He's reciprocating with living beings as we want to engage with him. So to really explore this question with you and to encourage you and I and all of us with hope, I would like to discuss how this perception or question of Krishna's partiality is considered in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam. The demons have raised it here. We're discussing the 10th canto, but the question is really explored in great depth in the 7th canto. It basically opens with that question. Parikshit Maharaj has heard in the 6th canto how Krishna helped Indra defeat Vritrasura. And Krishna was kind of coaching him along the way. You do this, you do that. This is how you're going to get the weapon, and you'll be able to kill the demon in that way. And so Parikshit Maharaj is hearing this and he has a doubt. He's a good king, Parikshit Maharaj, and he knows that a king or a judge, they're supposed to be neutral, impartial, and he expects God, the Supreme King, the Deva Deva, the Lord of Lords, will also be neutral in that way. It shows similar quality. And therefore, but then in the stories that he's hearing, it seems Krishna is taking sides, and so he has a doubt. Is Krishna partial towards his devotees, the demigods over the demons? And Sukadeva Goswami, he explains, he responds so wonderfully. He starts out, no, Krishna is not partial. He reciprocates with each living entity as they approach him. But then he gives some really, really wonderful examples that I want to explore with you, beginning with, so 3 stories we're going to discuss today. One is Shishupal, the second is Prahlada Maharaj, and the third is Narada Muni. They're all from the 7th canto. So basically what we're going to do today in 15 minutes is overview the 7th canto to explore this issue of partiality and to establish, Sukadeva Goswami will establish that Krishna, no, he's a friend to all. He loves all living beings. He's reciprocating with people as they approach him, but his mercy is there available for everyone. And so Sukadeva Goswami, he starts with Shishupal. Parikshit Maharaj's grandfather had performed a great yagya, the Rajasuya yagya. This is a yagya performed by emperors, or by the emperor, where the other sovereign kings will come and pay tribute. And so Yudhisthira Maharaj performed this yagya. He wanted to establish Krishna's glory in the world. And so as a king, that's how he did it, by having people come and pay tribute to him and to Vaishnavas, but also to pay respects to Krishna in that assembly. And Shishupal, one of the kings, was enraged by this because he hated Krishna with a vengeance. And so when Krishna was elected as the person to be honored in that assembly, Shishupal came forth with all kinds of blasphemy and offenses. And the Pandavas, Yudhisthira and his brothers, they were so upset. Bhima was clutching for his club, Arjuna for his bow, and they wanted to punish this Shishupal, but Krishna said, no, wait. And at one point, Krishna himself invoked his Sudarshan, his disc, which severed Shishupal's head. But then something wonderful happened. Everyone in the assembly saw Shishupal's soul, his Atman, rise from his body and enter into Krishna's own form. He achieved Sayujya Mukti, something that yogis aspire for and work towards through meditation and austerity over thousands of years. Shishupal, this demon, just got that. And Yudhisthira, he's looking at this and he said, what just happened? How did this blasphemer, this offender, just get liberated? And Narada Muni standing nearby, because all the rishis, they're there for this yagya, all the kings are there for this yagya. And he asked, Narada Muni, can you tell me what I just saw here? How is it that this demon Shishupal has been liberated? And Narada Muni said, it's quite wonderful, let me tell you. He was always thinking of Krishna. And he died thinking of Krishna. Yes, he hated Krishna. He was thinking of Krishna in enmity, but Krishna has given him that credit. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajatiyanta kalevram. Whatever you think of when you die, you'll get the result. You'll go to, you'll get that destination. And so Shishupal dies thinking of Krishna. He's lived thinking of Krishna in hatred. And so he's not getting bhakti because his thinking of Krishna was in envy, but he's getting liberation. He's getting freedom from material existence. And Yudhisthira Maharaj hears this, and Narada Muni says, actually, I can see you're surprised. There's a backstory here. This Shishupal and Krishna, they go back further than this. Shishupal is actually one of the gatekeepers to Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay. So, how can someone hate someone so much? Generally, you love someone, and then to hate them, really, I mean, mostly we're neutral towards other people. Some people we love, and then something might go sour in the relationship, and we can hate them as well. So this Shishupal hates Krishna so much. Yeah, he loves him as well. In a previous life, he was the doorkeeper, one of two brothers, Jai and Vijay. There was an incident where they were cursed to take 3 births as Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and now as Shishupal and Dantavakra. And so Yudhisthira Maharaj, he hears this, he's satisfied with the explanation. Okay, he's liberated because he's thinking of Krishna. Krishna has reciprocated with him, and ultimately he's a devotee. But here's the wonderful thing. It's showing us that Krishna is giving his mercy, even to a demon, even to someone who hates him. He's giving him liberation. And as Parikshit Maharaj hears about this from Sukadeva Goswami, he says, did you just say Hiranyakashipu and the one who was killed by Nrsingadev? Can you tell me that story? And Parikshit Maharaj is enlightened, and Sukadeva Goswami is enlivened, because that's another great example of Krishna being impartial in protecting, well, in this stage, in this case, a demon who surrendered unto him. That is Hiranyakashipu's son, Prahlada Maharaj. So Prahlada Maharaj, he's born in he's a devotee. He's a Prahladastami Daityanam. Of all the deities group of demons, Prahlada is the best because he's a devotee. And so this is a wonderful example. Shishupal, he's one example of Krishna giving mercy, blessings, liberation to a demon. But then Prahlada Maharaj, he is an example where the Lord makes an appearance, an incarnation to protect a devotee of his who is born in a family of demons and is raised as a demon and later becomes king of the demons. So Parikshit Maharaj is enlivened and eager to hear that story. And so Sukadev Goswami explains to him how after Hiranyakashipu had received boons from Brahma, he had persecuted the universe, dominated the universe, subjugated the universe, thought himself invincible. He had a son, Prahlada. And one day he took Prahlada on his lap and said, "What is the best thing you have learned from your teachers?" He didn't realize Prahlada had two groups of teachers. He had Sandanamaka, who taught him about materialism. Prahlada just started school. And he had Narada Muni, who'd given him instruction in the womb. And so Prahlada chose the best thing. Well, the best thing I learned was not from Sandanamaka. He didn't say this, but he told what he had learned from Narada Muni. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. 9 practices of bhakti. This list with hearing about Krishna, glorifying Krishna in kirtan, remembering Krishna, smaran, serving Krishna as pada sevanam, archana, service to the deity, Radha Muralidhara, here being served behind the curtain, offering prayers, serving as a servant, friendship, and full surrender of self. Hiranyakashipu was enraged to hear this. He threw Prahlada to the ground and ordered the demons, kill him. And so they tried, piercing him with tridents, throwing him from a mountain cliff, having him trampled by elephants, throwing him into a pit of snakes, exposing him to severe cold. But all of these attempts, they failed. Hiranyakashipu was anxious at this. He sent Prahlada back to school. He told the teachers, "You really watch over him. Make sure he doesn't get any exposure to Vaishnavas and Vaishnava ideas." And so they tried to teach him. Prahlada was not interested in their teaching. And in fact, Prahlada had a different purpose in the school. He decided to preach to the other asuras there. And why this is important is because he told his friends, the asuras, he said, "Oh, my friends, oh, sons of demons, everyone, including demons, rakshasas, yakshas, sudras, cowherds, birds, animals, and sinful entities can achieve Krishna by bhakti yoga." And so he's an example of how someone born in a demon family can be a devotee. And he's telling his friends, you can be devotees as well. Rakshasas can be devotees. Yakshas can be devotees. There is no barrier. Bhakti is not exclusive, rather it is inclusive. And these friends of his from school, these sons of demons, they all became bhaktas. They became devotees of Vishnu, Sandanamaka. They were worried they're in trouble when Hiranyakashipu hears about this. So better he hear it from them. So they went and reported to Hiranyakashipu what had happened. Hiranyakashipu was enraged. He asked Prahlada the source of his power. Prahlada's the same source as you, the same source of everyone's power. It's Krishna, it's Vishnu. And so Hiranyakashipu famously said, "You're always talking about your Lord who's all pervasive. Will he protect you now? Is he present in this pillar?" And Prahlada said, "Yeah, he's there as well." Hiranyakashipu struck the pillar, Nrsingadev appeared, protected him, by killing the demon. And then demigods tried to offer prayers to pacify Nrsingadev because he was so angry. He's this fierce form of the Lord, burning everything like fire, Jvala Nrisimha. And so, okay, the demon's dead, but they're worried that Nrsingadev's still angry. And so Brahma and Shiva and Lakshmi, they come forth to offer prayers, and he's angry. They can't come close to him. And so Brahma, he says to Prahlad, can you go forth and offer prayers? And indeed he does. He offers prayers. Initially, Prahlad's hesitant. He says, all these demigods, they tried to offer prayers to the Lord, and Lord Nrsingadev didn't accept their prayers. He was angry at them. What's my qualification? I'm the son of a demon. I'm born in a demoniac dynasty. I have no material qualification to offer prayers. But then he says, but Krishna, I know Nrsingadev, I know you, that you accept devotees from all positions. Even one born in a family of dog eaters is better than a qualified brahmana with all exalted qualities who's not a devotee. He says, such devotees, born in any situation, they can purify their families, they can purify the world, and therefore I will give up the idea that I'm unfit, and I will go forth and I will make an effort to offer you prayers. And Nrsingadev is pleased with this, and he blesses Prahlad, and he offers the most beautiful prayers. But again, in Prahlad's teachings, we have a reaffirmation of this principle. Krishna, Nrsingadev, the Supreme Lord, he's not partial. He will accept prayers, he will accept his devotee from any position. Prahlad told it to his friends. He expressed that in his glorification, but he also demonstrated it. Nrsingadev was angry at demigods, but he pushed them away, but he accepted this demon devotee, a 5-year-old, a child at that as well. He pushed them away, and he accepted the prayers and glorification of this son of a demon, someone born in a family of demons, someone who Nrsingadev later tells Brahma, orders Brahma to coronate as the king of the demons. Let's go then to our third example. So what we've discussed thus far, the example of Shishupal, that's the first chapter of the 7th canto. Prahlad's story is the 2nd to the 10th chapters of the 7th canto. All we can see, if we analyze, dealing with this question of Krishna's partiality. The last chapters, 11 to 14, they also establish this principle. If we analyze through the lens of this question, the very question that opens the 7th canto, is Krishna partial? And so what happens is Yudhisthira Maharaj, he's heard about this story of Prahlad Maharaj from Narada Muni. And Parikshit Maharaj has heard about it from Sukadeva Goswami. And so then the question is, how can someone become elevated like Prahlad? We hear that anyone can become a devotee, but how? Practically, what can we do to become elevated? And of course, the principle is bhakti. Bhakti can purify anyone. But what Narada Muni does is he explains the Varnashrama Dharma. And he explains how we establish ourselves in a stable position where we can sustainably progress in elevating our consciousness. But he concludes this elaborate description of Varna and Ashrama Dharma over several chapters. What are the duties of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra? And he explains the Brahmana, Kshatriya, the Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. He gives a whole chapter for sannyas, a whole chapter for grihastas as well. But he concludes it all by saying, actually, bhakti transcends all of this. You can take these ideas to establish yourself well, situate yourself in a stable way for gradual elevation of consciousness, but really bhakti transcends it all. And that's the higher principle. And then he tells his own story. I, in my previous life, 2 lives ago, had been a Gandharva. And I had, with other Gandharvas, been invited to a sacrifice to glorify Vishnu, to sing songs. Gandharvas, they're musicians. We had been invited to do some kirtan at a sacrifice. And I was very handsome and very proud. And rather than glorifying Vishnu, I was hanging out with the ladies and I was singing love songs. And so the sages that had organized the sacrifice became angry. And they said, your mentality is like a Sudra. You will become the son of a Sudra. And so Narada Muni said, and so I was born as the son of a servant maid. Basically, I only had my mom. So we don't know where dad was. I just had my mom, and she was a cleaner in an ashram somewhere, in a dharamshala. But then some Vaishnavas came, and they stayed there for 4 months, and I had their association. Overhearing their discussions, taking some of their Mahaprasadam, doing some seva for them, I became purified, and I took to the path of bhakti. When my mother died by the bite of a snake, I took to the path of bhakti, and I practiced bhakti, and I had darshan of Krishna, and then later I was given this position, reborn as a son of Brahma. So what do we have here? We have 3 examples in the 7th canto of Krishna's mercy being available to all, and Krishna reciprocating with people as they approach him, but demonstrating, okay, in the example of Shishupal, a demon who blasphemed Krishna, but was liberated because he was always thinking of Krishna, even though with hatred. He was purified by thoughts of Krishna. We have an example of a demon, the son of a demon, or someone born in a demon family, we might, but Vaishnava, the mentality of a Vaishnava, and therefore Krishna accepts him. Even above Brahma and Shiva and Lakshmi, he takes the prayers of Prahlada Maharaj, and he shows affection for Prahlada Maharaj, elevating him even above the demigods. And then finally, we have an example of a 5-year-old boy becoming a transcendentalist, not really in the Varnashrama, not well situated in Varnashrama Dharma, as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, as a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha. He was kind of just like on the sidelines there somewhere, the son of a servant maid who didn't know who his father was, wasn't, okay, he's a 5-year-old boy. Is he a sannyasi or a Vanaprastha or a Brahmachari? He didn't really fit the Varnashrama categories, and yet he was accepted by the Lord. And so what we can see here then is that Krishna is equal to all. And you and I can take hope from this. Whatever our position, whatever our situation, we can be given hope from these stories of the Bhagavatam, that if we approach Krishna with affection, whatever our situation, Krishna's mercy is available to us. And so, yeah, whether it's from the story of Shishupal, we can take a lesson. Think of Krishna. Think of Krishna. Be purified by thinking of Krishna. Krishna appreciates it. Even if it's not perfect, Krishna reciprocates there. Whatever our family we're born into, in whichever part of the world, Prahlada Maharaj's story shows us, it doesn't matter. Krishna is not partial. He's a well-wisher of all living beings. And whatever our Varnashrama Dharma situation in Kali Yuga, Kalo Sudra Sambhava, don't worry. Krishna is not discriminating there either. What he's concerned with is your heart. So I'll conclude there. If there are any reflections, questions, comments, we have some minutes to engage with those. So Jai Jagannath Prabhu is here, and I'm going to keep my eye on the chat online as well. Let me just see. All right, so I'll be watching the chat, but otherwise in the temple room, we have Jai Jagannath, and Champakalata has also raised a hand. So please.
In the story of the Bhagavatam, we do get quite a bit of encouragement of Bhakti's independence. It can manifest in the heart of a demon as well as the heart of a sage. And it's the Bhakti that Krishna reciprocates with. In our sort of infrastructure and our family today, ISKCON, we also have like a kind of like a strong emphasis on like a moral imperative that seems absolutely indispensable in order for the bhakti to work, so to speak. You know, for example, you know, you have to follow the 4 regular principles, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to do the other thing. And if you don't do all those things, if all those factors aren't met, then that's why you're not getting taste for bhakti, and that's why you're not advancing. Whereas in the stories of the Bhagavatam, you don't get the same sense of this sort of rigid moral imperative in order for bhakti to exalt and get reciprocation from God. So I'm wondering about that, and not that we should, you know, become immoral, but I do wonder about that sort of preaching, because that sort of preaching is more discouraging, because often the moral imperatives are hard to sustain over long periods of time, and as we fall short of meeting those imperatives, we lose inspiration to even chant or even associate with devotees sometimes, or do the bhakti thing, which is the thing that we're hearing about in Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about this.
Yeah.
Could you just
If you turn that around, then the 21 people can hear what he has to say.
Okay, sure. So I hope you heard Jai Jagannath's question, because he's sitting quite close to the computer.
All right.
And so that was my expectation. But otherwise, I'll repeat the question for all of you online, wonderful Vaishnavas. Jai Jagannath Prabhu is asking that in our institution, the expectations of what's necessary for bhakti to awaken often appear quite rigid. And it's many things that you have, like boxes almost, that you need to tick in order to be validated, legitimized as a Vaishnava. Whereas when we read the Bhagavatam, it appears a lot more fluid, maybe, and a lot more open in terms of, less rigid would be the word. And so that's hopefully I haven't butchered your question. You expressed it so eloquently. It's an excellent question. And Jai Jagannath Prabhu said he's been reflecting on this question for quite some time. And so the discussion today has provoked that question again in his mind. And it's interesting. So as an institution, there needs to be some framework and guidelines, but it's how do we disseminate bhakti in the world? How do we carry bhakti or convey bhakti in the world? So we need some structures, and the structures are helpful, but at a certain point, structures also have their limitations, and they can impede the humanity or the devotion. And so these things will always be in tension. It's what we need are structures that recognize their purpose. So we have frameworks, we have structures, we have guidelines, and the problem is when those frameworks or those structures become an imperative of their own. And rule tropism. You follow the rules for the sake of the rules, not understanding niyamagraha, not understanding their purpose. That's the problem. So the frameworks and the structures and the guidelines are great and important for an international mission that wants to convey bhakti to the world. But our tendency is towards this, rigidness, and it's a different logic. So institutional logic is its own logic, and it's very rational, and it just doesn't suit really humanity and subtlety and nuance and bhakti, which is of the heart. And so one conclusion could be, we'll tear down the institution, tear down those structures, they get in the way, they're not facilitative. That's extreme. The other is where the institutional logic dominates, and that's also so problematic. And so we need to use the frameworks and the structures, but with nuance and subtlety and maturity. And that takes open-heartedness, and it takes dialogue, it takes maturity, it takes humility, compassion, and kindness, but the institutional logics can sometimes crush compassion and kindness as well. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Satchidananda Swami was making this point at the retreat, our
Yeah.
retreat in New York, and he was saying,
Nobody can hear him unless you turn it on.
don't let him, Krishna is a kind God. Just one line.
Krishna is a kind God.
How wonderful.
Champakalata, you had your hand raised. So,
Yeah, should I come there?
If you can.
okay.
People really love to hear what you have to say. We do.
You were speaking in the class about how Narada Muni, he received so much mercy when the great souls came, and he was able to serve them and take their Mahaprasadam remnants. And because of that service in his past life, he became Narada Muni in his next life. And so I just wanted to hear your personal realizations. I believe it was 15 years you were traveling with Indradumana Swami and serving him as a secretary and doing kirtan for him. And I just wanted to hear your personal realizations on how we can take advantage of when great souls come and we're able to serve them and receive their Mahaprasadam remnants, and how we can really take full advantage of that opportunity and be grateful for that opportunity, and then integrate that opportunity when the great souls leave.
Yeah, very good. Okay, thank you very much for that. So you all heard that question because Champaka came right up to the camera there and asked it. So our acharyas, like I gave a list of 9 practices of bhakti that Narada Muni has given to us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distills or gives us a list of 5 practices of bhakti. Sadhusanga, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, so serving the devotees, chanting the holy name, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Murtiya Sevana, service to the deity, and service to the holy place, or residing in a holy place. He says any one of these 5 can awaken prema, can awaken pure love. And so different devotees will be inspired by different practices, and we can analyze these in different ways, that the holy name is the one that when you chant the holy name, you're hearing as well. And, the people around, they become devotees and the name is a deity. But really, the name is given to us by Vaishnavas, and the Bhagavatam is spoken by Vaishnavas. So the name and the Vaishnavas and hearing, these are all practices that go together. When we associate with Vaishnavas, we are immersed in hearing and chanting and remembering and glorifying and serving Krishna. And I was very fortunate that I had that opportunity for 18 years, actually, serving Indradumana Maharaj initially as I started with him when I was 15 years old. And he invited me to travel with him. And I was just finishing up my school. And I said, no, thank you for the invitation. I'm grateful, but I already have a plan. And I had purchased for myself a round the world ticket. And I'm initiated by Hridayananda Maharaj, so I was planning to go to Los Angeles to serve Hridayananda Maharaj and learn from him. I wanted to learn how to present Krishna consciousness philosophy, teachings. And so that was part of my plan. The other was I wanted to learn to sing kirtan nicely and to cook, to prepare and serve nice prasadam. I thought those three skills, I'll be able to share bhakti far and wide in the world. And so that would be my real education as I finish high school. So I already had my ticket and dates set. And then Indradumana Maharaj said, come and travel with me. I said, thank you, Maharaj. Here's my plan. But I had prayed to Krishna for guidance, and I prayed to Krishna for an opportunity to learn and deepen and grow in bhakti as I was finishing my school. So Indradumana Maharaj said to me, just come for a few days. I'm going to Brisbane, the next city. You know the devotees there. You come and serve me there, and you help me there. I said, okay, yeah, I have some time before my journey begins. So I went to Brisbane. He says, well, you know the devotees in Sydney. Come with me to Sydney. And I was, okay, yeah, I'll come with you to Sydney. Then he said, come with me to New Zealand. You know the devotees in New Zealand as well. And, you help with the kirtan and help with my puja. I wasn't really helping him, but yeah, a little service here and there. But really, he was trying to encourage and inspire me. And after we traveled, so I ended up traveling with him for like 6 weeks. And at the end of it, I realized, Sri Prahlad, you had a plan. You had a desire. You wanted to learn, to preach, and to do kirtan, and to serve, and you expressed that to Krishna. And you made your effort. You bought yourself a round the world ticket. But here, Krishna's reciprocated. He sent the Vaishnava to help you, but you're blind. You're not seeing it because you're fixed in your plan. The rigidness of your plan, you're stuck there. You have to open your eyes and realize this is Krishna's reciprocation with your prayers. So I went to Indra Maharaj at the end of 6 weeks and I said, forgive me for not accepting your invitation straight out. I now realize that I had a will and a desire, and I made some efforts, some steps of my own to deepen my ability to preach and to serve. And I realize now that Krishna answered my prayer by sending you, but I didn't understand it because I was too stuck. And so I guess what I'm offering to you now is that when we have the will and the desire, Krishna sends the devotee, and he provides the opportunity for training and growth and development and sadhusanga. But sometimes we don't see it, we don't appreciate it because we're busy with our other preconceptions. And but yeah, I guess maybe for anyone else it would be obvious, but for me it wasn't at the time. But then I realized, and that was my credit, that I realized at that moment I rerouted my ticket to match Indra Maharaj's schedule, and then ended up traveling with him, serving him for 18 years. So to answer your question more directly, it's the opportunities are there. When we express this to Krishna, yasyat prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasyat prasad. By the mercy of Krishna, we get Krishna's mercy. By Krishna's mercy, we get the devotee. When we express to Krishna this desire to serve, he will send the devotees that can teach us and guide us and show us how. But then when he sends them, don't overlook them. Don't not see them, and don't miss the opportunity to learn and grow through their guidance and association.
Fantastic.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kartik has a question in the chat.
Kartik has a question, and we are at time. So Kartik, I'm going to read your question, but the conch shell will blow at any second, and we'll end there. So thank you for the class. Why Prahlad considered a demon? Isn't the definition of asura one who has turned away from Krishna? The opposite of what Prahlad was doing. Yeah, good question. He's considered a demon because he's in the family of demons. He's in the company of demons. He's surrounded by demons. The entire structures and institutions around him are all demoniac, and he will become the king of the demons. He'll be leading these people. And so he's basically in an asura family situation context, but then he's the outlier. He's the sandalwood tree in the forest. So in this context, the asuras, they are also a lineage, a line descendant from Diti, the wife of Kashyapa. And so Prahlad appears in that family. Similarly with Bali Maharaj, he's a devotee, but he's also a demon. He fights for the demons, he leads the demons, he helps the demons, he supports the demons, but he's a devotee. He's seen that as his service as well. That's his role. That's the position that he's in. And then Andrea says, radical personalism sounds like what Prahlad Maharaj is describing. So it's an idea that asserts that above all else, the personhood of all humans, other living beings, and the Supreme Personality of God in Krishna. Anyway, it's asserting personality. Very good. Thank you all very much for this opportunity. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakti ki jai. Thank you all. you.